In narrative pieces, there is often a stark contrast between the protagonist and the antagonist. One of them typically has better morals, is stronger, and is a better person than the other. Usually this contrast creates most of the conflict in the piece. Yet in The Last of Us Part 2, while this contrast is present, it's almost equal to the similarities between these two pillars, between Ellie and Abby. There's such a strong similarity between these two individuals and the paths they take. Any understanding of a protagonist and an antagonist is lost. There is no definite right or wrong. We're given two morally gray characters that do what they do for their own benefit. So let's talk about how Abby and Ellie are, in a way, two sides of the same coin. Before I go on, I'd just like to ask you to like the video if you enjoy it. Consider subscribing if you're new and click the notification bell so that you never miss my uploads. Let me know in the comments who your favorite character is in The Last of Us Part 2. If you'd like to keep up with me, my socials are linked below, or you could join my Discord server to make everything easier. Thank you for watching. Now on to the video. Our journeys start with two young and hopeful girls. They have fathers that truly care for them and are as happy as can be when living in the apocalypse. All of a sudden, everything they hold dear in their lives is violently snatched away from them, leaving them broken and angry. They hunt for the person that took everything away from them. But when they get there, when they're finally able to enact their revenge, they realize it just wasn't worth it. Now, I'm leaving out quite a few details just for brevity. The basic structure of the stories are similar. Putting these two stories side by side shows us how similar the paths these women go down are. There's a resemblance in the structures of events, their actions, and their outcomes. Abby kicks her journey off when Jerry is killed by Joel, the father she loved so much. After this happens, nothing else matters but Joel, the man who took everything away from her. He needs to pay for what he did. It's not about the cure. It's not about humankind. It's about how he broke her humanity. He destroyed everything she cared about, and she needed to make him suffer. So she fostered her obsession with him. She left the remaining Fireflies and joined a militia so she could become powerful enough to put him through the same pain he put her through. She built her body up so she could overpower him, make him feel as helpless as he made her feel. She spent years nurturing this unhealthy hatred so that she could let it all out when she finally found him. She didn't rush her growth, just as she told Joel he couldn't rush his demise. He's getting what he deserved for everything he did. But after his death, after her brutal execution of him, nothing changes. She's still a cold, heartless husk of a person. Joel got what he deserved, but it didn't fix her. The years of neglecting Owen and neglecting her friends because of her obsession with this man wouldn't just magically go away. They were still hurt by everything she did to get to Joel. And when he was gone, when she finally did what she needed to do, she no longer had a purpose. For the last 5 years, her purpose was to just kill this monster, but on the way, she grew into one herself. She became the very thing she wanted to destroy. She still had her nightmares, and she was still an empty shell of what she was when Jerry was alive. That hope and happiness in her eyes was replaced with the same look Joel held when he shot Marlene. Then finally, on the brink of death, she finds a way. She found something that would fill the void in her soul. 2 children who saved her life. Saving them might mean redemption for her. So she did the thing she believed would give her a chance at being human again. She took care of them, fought for them, and fell in love with them the same way Joel fell for Ellie. She fought tooth and nail to keep them safe from everything that could harm them, even though she spent the last 5 years in Seattle hating their kind. She found these little rays of hope that she clung onto because it's what she lacked for a quarter of her life. They shone onto her psyche and fixed what was broken for so long. She learned to love again. This is when Abby regained her faith in humanity. The similarity between Ellie and Abby lies in the hate and anger they hold for the thing that took everything away from them. Ellie's going through the same thing Abby went through for 5 years. Guilt, hatred, pain, anger, bloodthirst, and a need for revenge. Yet while we see only glimpses of Abby's journey of hate, we physically go through Ellie's. We're put in her shoes to experience the brutality of what she's going through. The once hopeful little girl is now a brutal killing machine, who's willing to go through hundreds and thousands of people just to get what she wants. And we see her slowly start to break, to hesitate, to lose her humanity. What Abby did to Owen, Ellie does to Dina and Jesse. The same obsessive insanity Abby lived through festers inside Ellie, and the players get to see this progression. The scene with Abby and Owen in the aquarium, where Abby tells Owen that they should go back to training, is a stunning parallel to the scene in which Ellie walks away from Dina and JJ. These women couldn't let go of their hatred, of their pain and suffering. They needed closure. They needed to finish what they started. But they do this at the cost of those around them, and at the cost of their own humanity. Ellie becomes what Abby emerged from, just as Abby became what Joel emerged from. The symbolism of cycles that was so prominent in the release of this game is present here as well. When one person falls, another rises. And it goes on, more and more, repeating again and again. One character descends into hell while the other climbs back up from it. Ellie descends into madness, Abby learns to embrace hope again. She learns to love like she used to. Everything she has done so far, the journey of revenge that she overcame, it's all over now. That chapter in her life is closed, and she's opened a new one. One with more promises of happiness, love, and hope. But Ellie won't let that chapter close. Abby doesn't deserve that redemption according to Ellie, because Ellie's still going through that phase, that obsessive journey of revenge. Abby destroyed everything that Ellie cared about, so she needed to make her suffer. The same thirst for revenge, the same nothing can stop me attitude. If we make a callback to what Ellie said to Joel in the ranch after running away from him in the first game, we can see a shift in her belief system. That innocent, hopeful girl is now a broken mess. She says to Joel,
"I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too."
Joel was afraid to lose her, which is why he wanted to give her away. But now that she's lost Joel, it just doesn't apply anymore. It's not the same. Everyone loses people, and all we can do in our lives is to love them as much as we can before they go. Death is a part of the human condition. But Ellie just can't let go. Neither of them can let go. Ellie feels guilty over the time she spent angry at Joel. So she needs to make Abby suffer for taking that opportunity to heal away from her, when in all honesty, it was her own fault. When we can't accept that we're in the wrong, we push the blame onto others. Ellie's dead set on avenging her father, avenging the man who gave her a chance to survive. The guilt she faced after years of neglecting him caught up to her, and she needed this. She left Dina, she left JJ, and went after her obsession, the same way Abby abandoned Owen in pursuit of Joel. But this again begs the question, is it worth it? It wasn't worth it for Abby after she killed Joel. Abby had to fight to be happy again. So what will this bring to Ellie? Satisfaction? Happiness? Will it bring him back? It changed nothing for Abby. If anything, it solidified her self-doubt and further shattered her already broken psyche. But Ellie still wants her revenge. She knows it's too much, she knows it's wrong, but she still hunts Abby down. And we have the final battle in California, where Ellie threatens Lev, Abby's very reason to keep fighting. Abby's exhausted. She's done with all of that. She wants nothing more, but she doesn't get to rush this. She doesn't get to run away from the consequences of her actions, like she didn't let Joel run away. At least, that's how Ellie sees it. So Abby's put in the same position Joel was in during the first game, fighting for the very thing she was initially opposed to. She didn't want to fall in love with what she was so afraid of, what she held so much hatred towards. A child who was alone and scared, just like she was. She wouldn't let go of the very thing that redeemed her humanity, the thing that made her whole again. Just like Joel, she started her journey as an empty person, hating the world, angry at what it took from her, but as Joel said, and as I'll quote a million times,
"No matter what, you keep finding something to fight for."
So as Joel found Ellie and fought for Ellie, Abby found Lev and fought for Lev. And finally, Ellie realized it wasn't worth it. She gave everything up to come here, to kill Abby. She gave up Dina, JJ, her humanity, her life, her sanity, but it just wasn't worth it. because she couldn't continue the cycle of violence that Joel started, because one day it may come back to hurt those she loved, just the way Joel's death hurt her. So she had to let him go. She had to let Abby take him and go. And I'm not talking about Lev, I'm talking about Joel. So she went back home, back to where her home was. She tried to heal like Abby did. Abby went on a journey to save these kids, but in the process saved her own soul. And now it was Ellie's turn. So, as she walks away from that little house in search of her redemption, we can't help but be hopeful that she finds the happiness she so desperately needs. And that's all I have to say for this video. But before I sign off, I just want to say thank you for the support you've been showing me on my videos, you the viewers. I'm very far away from being able to do this professionally, but I have faith I can make it. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, which is leagues more than I ever expected to make, if I'm being honest. And all of your likes, your comments, your thoughts, and all of your support really helped me a lot and make all of this worth it. So I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to look for the light, and goodbye for now.